Safe Soul World Raisers, Sabine and Roger here. Let's watch the Playboy who turned into a sage by Sadhguru. It was a request by a world devotee, one with Sadhguru, and we just finished a Zoom call and he was actually on there.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So as you know that we're still watching 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐿's Mahabharat, and then during, one of the discussions on one of the videos, one was Sadhguru linked to this video and said we need to check it out for some more insights into what's happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so no spoilers about what topic this is going to cover, but hopefully we get some insights and then a nice discussion about it. And before we dive into it, of course, we want to thank our members and patrons who are still watching the Mahabharat with us. Thank you so much for joining us and all of your wonderful comments and keeping us going. Anybody who wants to join, it's not too late. We've just gotten into...
It's never too late.
No.
There was a king in Ujjain. His name was Bharatrihari. He's the one who wrote the Sringara Shatakam and later on wrote the Vairagya Shatakam. Sringara Shatakam is a composition of poems which are all about passion and erotica. Vairagya Shatakam is complete dispassion and renunciation. This is a king who was steeped in physical pleasure and he really living his life out. One day he went hunting and he shot a antler and killed it. When the antler fell dead, the doe, the female deer which was with it, refused to leave the spot. Risking its own life, it just stood there. This surprised the king. Instead of running for its life, it is just standing there to be shot. And in the process when this was happening, one of the soldiers who were hunting with him was bitten by a snake and he also died. When he died, his wife came and when they set him to flames, it was with great difficulty that they held her off the flames because she wanted to jump into the flames. So this just intrigued him. For him, his life was all about himself, his pleasures, his likes and whatever else. When he saw this doe and also this woman wanting to jump into the fire, this confused him. So he had a wife whose name was Pingala. So he was talking to her and said, today these two things that I witnessed somehow have set my whole mind into confusion. Then Pingala said, if two hearts have fused into one, then this is how it'll be. This is a natural reality. There's nothing amazing about it, there's nothing intriguing about it. If two hearts have really become one in their experience, this is how it will be. Very matter-of-factly she said this. So this further intrigued him, his wife also saying this. He has 500 women, he cannot understand this. So, on the next hunt when he went, he wanted to check this out. What he did was, he bloodied his clothes with animal blood and sent it back to the palace. And it was announced to Pingala that the king died, he was killed by a tiger. So when she got these bloodied clothes, she put it in a heap, she bowed down to it, then she did go and lie down on it and she simply breathed her last, she died.
What?
When he came to know about this, it completely disturbed him so much that him whimsically trying to test her like this and she actually gave up her life. And then he dropped his kingdom and he became a sage. And that's when he produced the Vairagya Shatakam, a great work of poetry. This is the nature of the feminine. That consequence is not the important thing. That moment's passion and love is more important than what is going to happen out of it. The calculation of what's going to come out of it, if it comes, that's very masculine. Masculine is always thinking about the consequence. The feminine doesn't think about the consequence, it's about what matters now. What you think or what somebody thinks is not the nature of the feminine. What one feels is the nature of the feminine. Should it not be tempered with thought? Yes, it should be when it comes to material aspects of life. But when it comes to life itself, if you're not feminine, then you cannot enjoy it. So this is the nature of the feminine, that it is capable of going beyond itself. Only that which is capable of going beyond itself is eligible for a spiritual process. That which wants to protect itself is not eligible for spiritual process. The Shambhavi is something which can inflame the feminine in you. Because if you don't keep yourself aside, it cannot happen. It's not something that you do, it is something that you allow. That's the most beautiful aspect of Shambhavi is you cannot really do it. Only if you allow it, it's like a flood. If you try to do it properly, technically, nothing will happen because the practice itself doesn't do anything. If you allow it, then the innermost core, which is the basis of creation, finds full expression.
Thoroughly enjoyed it and almost like, whew.
That is
Sinking.
fantastic, because if you remember from our watch-alongs so this is one particular episode, basically when Madri performs Sati when Pandu dies. They didn't really show it, but we got the glimpse that, yeah, she, died along with him, right? To go to the other realms, and really, really wanted, and Kunti also wanted to as well, right? They kind of fought over who gets the honor and the privilege of being able to do that, and that really, confused our Western minds. So Sabine in particular, so we had really long discussions about this, in the members section with our full-length watch-alongs where, we discuss things much, much deeper there. Yeah, so it's the, it's the devotion, and the love and the oneness, right? When two hearts are joined as one, it's not like, because also at that time there was more wisdom and knowledge to understand that we're not just physical beings, we're spiritual beings, right? We have souls, and Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita that nothing really dies, right? Energy flows and moves. So it's incredibly beautiful when you understand it correctly, what's actually happening. And even in the tradition, itself, it kind of got a bad name. I learned from, some of the comments that over time, of course, Westerners perceiving that and seeing what was happening, weren't really understanding it. But, back, in the ancient days, B actually had an incredibly beautiful comment that I wanted to read to Sabine. Okay, so we found the comment from B, and I'm just going to read it because I thought it was incredibly beautiful and important to understand. It isn't suicide. The concept of a suicide and sati are very different. The meanings are miles apart. Suicide is when an individual takes their life due to inability to face a difficult situation in life, be it huge piling debts, guilty of criminal acts, having depression issues, perennial health issues, etc. And in suicide, one always injures oneself using weapons, poison, asphyxiation. Sati is willingly giving up the body to the fire god by spiritually ejecting oneself from the body and departing along with one's loved one, husband, in an extreme act of devotion. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds very different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is also different because in Sati, the extremely devoted wife was spiritually very strong that they could exit their body through voluntarily opening of the 7 body chakras and breathing in a manner that didn't cause them to even feel the burn.
Oh, well, okay.
Highly spiritual individuals can leave their bodies post, which it is offered to the fire god. Nowadays, what is happening in the social evil called suicide, which prematurely takes one's life before it is bound to get released, thereby adding to the karma, then trying to unshackle your karmic bonds accrued through mortal life.
Okay.
After one becomes sati, their souls are enlightened and may even achieve moksha, liberation, and probably only enlightened souls were able to perform that feat. Hence, only few even attempted it. It is similar to samadhi, only the mortal remains are fed to the fire, while in samadhi, the whole body is made to sit in a chamber or pit, dug up for the purpose, right? So it's
Thanks,
thanks, Speed. Very, very spiritual act. And it also reminded me, when I read this comment, I thought of, Sadhguru's wife. What was her name?
Yeah, I just thought of her too. Viji.
Viji, yes. Yeah, so, she left the body, right? So the sati is, departing, with the husband and offering your body to the fire god through sacrifice and then ejecting through the chakras.
Well, yeah, okay.
So
to my defense, it was not displayed in the show like that.
No.
We, of course, after many episodes, we realized that the beings are not like normal, like everybody in the show is not a normal human being like nowadays. They were almost like demigods, like they, highly developed, even though they did some... It's complicated, but... of course, they're on another level. So then everything makes sense here. Absolutely. And I would agree that, sati is very different than taking one's own life because of depression and things. And of course, it just wasn't depicted like that. So I was very confused. This is a beautiful spiritual practice. Please don't do it, though.
Yeah, so in this state, like the love that we're talking about and the oneness of mind and that devotion to the husband, it's something that nowadays we can't even fully comprehend. It's like a different level, a quality of love, to the point where, if Pandu's going off into another realm, Madri wants to go along. Yeah, it's a divine connected love, right? Like Sadhguru said in this video, where your hearts become as one. Right, so it's almost like
Shiva Shakti. It's like it's the union, and it's not like about me and you. It's like, there is this oneness, and there is no separation anymore. So then, of course, if one does that, the other does that. If one goes to the forest, the other follows, because it's a divine play, and they're almost like so highly developed that it's like no question, because they don't have any preferences anymore, because they are, they're no normal human ego beings.
Yeah. So one question that just comes to mind just with this video in regards to that is, so the king played a trick on the wife just to see what she would do, and she ends up taking her own life just by laying on his bloodied clothes, and then she departs, which could be part of the reason why he totally transformed and became a sage, because now her love and devotion to him and that action, and then she leaves and attains, moksha and a spiritual being, yet he's not on the other side and he's still there. So then I can see it as her spiritual aura and her presence, remains as union oneness with him. And then that kind of transforms him into this sage. So there's still oneness, even though he played this trick and she departed, but she's still there. And then he becomes transformed because of that. And then, writes these beautiful poems. So it actually helped to access what Sadhguru is saying is the divine feminine within him.
Beautiful.
Right? And then opens up not just, worldly sense pleasures, but, emotional, feeling of divinity and bliss, perhaps. And
I love it.
yeah.
Beautiful video. Before we leave you, we have a Patreon shout out of the day for Matthias Maximilian.
Mr. Max, just that name, the sound of it, it rings in my ears and I know you and I've seen you and you're just so gorgeous. You're so incredibly beautiful and handsome. I'm like total Playboy, right? You can have any woman you desire. You can rise up. You can be a king. You can have all the wealth and all the gold and all the privileges and the prestige and the love of the people. Total, incredible. You're the boss. You're the man. Yet you deny that because you have an inner purpose. You've almost, already enacted your own sati of the heart. Just in this past year has been just focused on your spiritual development and getting the insights, ultimate reality and the true nature of existence. And you're just blowing up in so many ways that the Playboy is becoming the sage.
Amen to that. Much love and thank you so much for your support. The bestest sage.
Peace.